round 2 and 3 of this league with 4 drivers here for round 2 at Texas Motor Speedway with the Ford Mustang, Frankie on pole position, followed by Diogo Almeida, Diogo Silva and Scott Davely. It's a shame we don't have more drivers, but we have a very good field here in this race. First race is 30 laps with a formation lap, which is necessary because of some problems with the qualifying order. So as you can see, these drivers are now doing their formation lap, and we are about to go in a few seconds time. This will be 2 races of 30 laps. Frankie of course won the opening round of this series in Daytona, followed by Diogo Almeida and Randy, who is not here today for this round. And they are already up to speed as we now go, and we won't go yet because we're waiting for all the drivers to line up, but the drivers are now lined up and away they go. And where is the green and where is the 4th car, which is Frankie. Frankie is actually in pit lane, so already a problem here for the pole position driver, as they are now lining up for another restart. Or are they? No, they're actually running in this first lap. So Frankie already problems within the first meters of this race for the pole position man, and Diogo Almeida is now in the lead, followed by Scott Davely jumps into the lead as well. Scott Davely is your new leader. Very strange start to this race, as here comes Diogo Silva now battling for second. Diogo Silva is battling for second place, and I think he's got the job done. Or does he into turn 1? Yes, he does. Diogo Silva goes into second place, and here comes Frankie out of the pits. He's already a lap down. Look at this, very difficult to control this car in this oval. That was Diogo Silva almost losing it there in turn 1. These are going to be 2 races of 30 laps, and Frankie already a lap down, and the race has barely started. Let's see how this race is going to develop, as I apologize for the messages that are appearing on the screen. I don't know how to deactivate. Someone is in the wall, and that was Diogo Almeida. Diogo Almeida is in the wall but recovers, and Diogo Silva goes into second place. Frankie is now putting some pressure in Diogo Almeida, but he's of course a lap down, as I mentioned earlier. Let's see, we are already in lap 4 basically of this race. Well, should be lap 3 because we had a formation lap, as these drivers continue to battle in this Texas Motor Speedway oval as we follow Diogo Silva. But let's focus perhaps a little bit more on the battle there between Diogo Almeida and Frankie. Frankie is of course trying to unlap himself. Here he's Diogo in 3rd place at the moment. What is the gap at front? That's 1.7 seconds is the gap really up there front. Let's follow the race leader for some time. Here he is, Scott Davely, the first time that he's leading in this mini league, and he's doing a good job there, keeping the car not outside of the walls in the tarmac, and he's leading comfortably. He already has 2 seconds advantage over Diogo Silva. As you can see, these drivers are still being quite cautious on how they drive this car around here. Scott Davely there made a good job, and actually now Diogo Silva is himself under pressure from Diogo Almeida. Let's follow that battle, because I think that the battle for second place is probably a bit livelier than the battle for the lead. Here is Diogo Silva in that 78 car, very popular car in terms of livery. We don't have that many drivers in this race, but they all seem to like this livery very much. Diogo Almeida is now continues to chase Diogo Silva. We should have around 15 minutes racing here at Texas in each race, as a lap here is more or less 32 seconds, so 30 laps will take you more or less 15-16 minutes, and we are already in lap 8, as Diogo Almeida continues to chase that second place. And here he comes now. Diogo is now actually under pressure. Frankie is in fourth. He's lost touch with this group, and he's not going to like that, because he is not able to draft, and he's making a little bit of a strange line over there in turn 1. So not a great race for Frankie. After winning the opening round in Daytona, he's now on the back foot already as we are approaching the first third of the race. Diogo Almeida continues to follow Diogo Silva, but not quite close enough to challenge for second place. In the meantime, Scott Davely is now 2.2 seconds in the lead of this race. So Scott having a pretty good opportunity here to score the first victory of the season, as we are now going to go into fast forward mode for some time. See if we can catch some of the action. And there's a mistake from Diogo Almeida, a slight mistake there in the first corner, but nothing to write home about. Diogo now closer to Scott again, so and actually very close to Scott. The Scott is pitting. Actually, Scott Davely is pitting, so let's follow that. Scott Davely is pitting for new tires, possibly fuel. I don't think that these cars need fuel. A fuel top-up for to do 30 laps. So Scott in this number 99 car is probably betting on new tires, possibly with some pressure adjustment for an oval setup, and that's going to make him more competitive. But I think he's also expecting other drivers to do the same, and a pit stop actually here is well, quite a long pit stop for Scott Davely. There he goes out now. He goes out. He's of course in fourth place. Now he's in third because he still maintains the position over Frankie, who has had one pit stop as well. Let's see how are things in the lead of the race now, as we are almost in the midpoint. Diogo Silva now is your leader, and he has opened a gap of around 1.6 seconds over Diogo Almeida, who is in second place. He is still in touch, but not quite in drafting distance at this stage as we enter the second half of the race. And now, of course, the million-dollar question is when and if. And someone has spun. Scott Davely has spun. He has spun exiting pit lane. It's quite tricky to exit this pit lane with no drama. And Scott has actually just lost it at the exit of the pit lane, and that still keeps him in third place. But now he has made a mistake and lost more time, which means that possibly if the two Diogos will stop, they would still be able to come ahead. And of course, we have remember, we have accelerated tire wear in this race, so that's why even with such a short number of laps, it's still probably a good idea to think about a pit stop, particularly if you can adjust the pressures to make this car more comfortable in an oval setup. Follow Diogo Silva, the leader, now getting to the basically the midpoint of this race. Let's see what's happening, and Diogo Almeida is in pit lane. Diogo Almeida is in pit lane with that number 31 for Mustang. He comes and he is going to require 4 tires. Let's see how much time is he going to take for these 4 tires. Well, that's a much better pit stop than Scott Davely had. I'm not certain that Scott had the right settings in his pit stop strategy, because he was stationary for such a long time that I think that he erroneously put some fuel. Nice, very nice silhouette of this car in the night of Texas here in this twin 45. So that's 2 races of 45 miles, which of course in a 1.5 mile track equates to 30 laps. Let's see if Diogo Almeida does not spin at the exit of pit lane. He hasn't. He, well, exited there before the dotted line, so he's going to get a warning, but not a penalty in this case. And he continues to be in second place, I believe, and yes, by a long margin. By a long margin, he will be in second place. Now the question is, when is Diogo Silva going to stop, and is he going to stop? Because he's got 44 seconds. He's got 44 seconds lead after, well, 18 laps, and I wonder even if Diogo is slower than other drivers, and he certainly seems to be slower than Frankie, at least, because he is clocking 32.2, Frankie 31.8, Scott Davely 32.8, but I think he might have mistakenly put some fuel on, so he might be heavier than he needs to be. But the net, I mean, I think Diogo probably does not need to stop at this point. He's got basically 10 odd laps to go, and he's got 46 seconds. He's running faster than Diogo Almeida, who is still getting up to speed after his pit stop. We are on lap 20 already as we very quickly approach the last stage of this race. I think Diogo probably can just keep going, is what I think he's going to do. Let's see if we can see any battles on track. Unfortunately, it seems that these four drivers are quite apart from each other. And here we come, Scott Davely. Scott Davely is in the wall. Is he in pit lane? No, he's not in pit lane. That was quite a spectacular off, and I wonder what's happening with Scott Davely. He had such a promising pace at the outset of this race, and he's now, well, a little bit all over the place, really. He's trying to tame this Ford Mustang. I think he's having some temperature problem with his tires, and all of a sudden it seems that we might have a battle for third place here, because Frankie, who went a lap down quite early in this race, is actually the fastest driver on the track at the moment. It's a shame that he has lost so much time with that pit stop. He hasn't stopped again, but he is now running faster than any other driver, as he is the only driver. Well, no one is in the 31s. I think that everyone is just suffering from tire wear at this stage, but with 10 laps to go, I think that probably now is not the right time to think about a pit stop, unless you are Diogo Silva and you can actually be confident that you can get out in less than 47 seconds, which by the way, I'm not sure he can. I think that if Diogo pits, he's actually going to lose the lead to Diogo Almeida, so he might as well keep going, especially because he's running 0.8 of a second faster than Diogo as it stands, and Frankie is actually the only driver in the 31s. He is the fastest driver on the track, and he wants that third place. He's disappointed to have lost so much time in the beginning of this race, and he's going after Scott Davely. Now the question is, can he recover around 10 seconds in 10 laps? He would need to be a second lap faster, and he's almost a second lap faster. So I think that if things continue at this rate, that he is going to catch Scott. He only needs to be maybe 7 or 8 seconds, 0.8 of a second, I'm sorry, behind Scott to start drafting. So we may still see a battle here for third place, but I think that there at the front, things are more or less settled, because Diogo Silva is within 6 laps of his first race of the season, his first win of the season. I'm sorry, he had a disappointing time at Daytona. He was battling for the lead most of the day, but late pit stop for fuel hurting his cause, and he ended up fourth and a lap down in Daytona out of 5 drivers. Here he is leading, so he's going to be right back in the chase. Remember that all races count the same amount of points, so it doesn't really matter that Daytona was a slightly longer race. It's only the Indianapolis race with the IndyCar, which is the season finale for this mini league, that will count for double points. So most drivers will want to win that one, but here this race in Texas is basically counting the same amount of points as the opening round in Daytona. So oh, look at this, Diogo Silva almost losing it there, almost losing it, but he is still faster than Diogo Almeida. Diogo is now very stable in second place, but he is not exactly right on the pace. He is the slowest driver in the track actually, and Scott Davely is in third place still. Frankie is faster, but I think he's basically just running out of time because Diogo Silva has the advantage here in Texas and he's going to finish the race. He's already on lap 28. Now Scott is on lap 26. He's a couple of laps down with all these dramas. And remember, his pit stop was quite long, and of course we are talking about a fairly short lap here at Texas Motor Speedway. So he is a couple of laps down, so is Frankie, but I think they are just going to run out of laps as Diogo Silva starts lap number 29, and he's got 2 laps to go after this one, and I think that this will also mean that the positions will remain like this in race 1, as Diogo is now starting lap 30. Let's see how the other drivers are. Quickly, a quick roundup. Here comes Diogo Almeida in second place. He's of course now with Frankie behind him, or in front of him in the track, but of course Frankie is in fourth place as Diogo is now at the end of lap 30. He's about to start lap 31. A dominant performance helped by the fact that he has not stopped for tires, and of course not stopped to adjust tire pressures either, but he still maintained a very, very healthy pace indeed. And here he comes for the first victory of the season. There's going to be a dominant performance in this race. Let's see what the second race is going to reserve us. Of course, we'll have a reverse grid in the second race. Not that it matters too much with 4 drivers, but nevertheless it's a bit of an added spice to make racing a little bit more interesting. Here comes Diogo Silva to take the checkered flag, and he won Texas Motor Speedway. Second place is going to be Diogo Almeida. He's crossed the line already, or no, he hasn't. He's going to cross the line very, very shortly to take his second place of the season. So no wins yet, but fairly consistent performances from Diogo. Also a contender for the final standings for sure. Here he comes to take the checkered flag. Third is going to be Scott Davely, and fourth is going to be Frankie. Now, as we now are going to download race 2, so if you all kindly just give me a second. So race 2 is going to be pretty much the same as race 1, except that we'll have a reverse grid, and therefore Diogo Silva, for example, is going to start in last, and as we are just waiting for the download of this race. As we are now, well, we have a formation lap here, so that we're just trying to line everyone up in the right position, so we might as well fast forward the formation lap and go straight for the start. So Frankie is going to start in pole position, followed by Scott Davely, Diogo Almeida, Diogo Silva, and Alonso Afonso has joined the race. He has joined the race, and it's great to have a 5th driver here. He is of course going to, well, but where is he? We can see him in the lineup. we can't see him in the lineup, and really this is a disaster for Alonso Afonso, who has come here and has had a problem with his wheel. So we are down to 4 drivers again, unfortunately. That is a shame indeed, because we really wanted to have more drivers. But anyway, this race is about to start as they all line up. Let's follow the pole position man, Frankie, who is going to go into the lead of the race. And there we go. I think this is the start. Yes, it is the start. Frankie has called the start by counting down. It's very sophisticated race start procedure. Here comes Diogo Silva already trying to recover positions as Frankie jumps right into the lead here. Let's see if we get a few more battles. Diogo Silva is already up to third. Diogo Silva is already up to third. Alonso Afonso continues to appear in the standings, but he has not even started this race. Unfortunately, his retirement, or did not start in this race. Scott Davely is very interested in grabbing that early lead, and he's already putting some pressure in Frankie, and already we are seeing quite a lot more action. Look at this, Frankie very wide indeed in turn 1 there on the essentially second lap of this race. As again we have 31 laps, but one of which is the formation lap. Scott Davely is going for it. Scott Davely is going for the lead as Frankie runs wide again. Frankie is having some problems getting his tires up to temperature, and he spins. He spins and saves it. And here comes Diogo Silva. Diogo Silva in the lead of the race. He basically did a 2-in-1 maneuver. That was quite nice from Diogo, as Scott Davely now is battling with that Ford Mustang. But Diogo Silva very wisely indeed managing to grab 2 positions in one go. Basically Frankie just lost it at the last corner, and Scott Davely, look at this, Diogo Almeida there drifting already in there, and he's now in 4th place. Scott Davely is in 3rd, Frankie is now in 2nd. But Scott Davely basically very cautious there, trying to not get hit by Frankie. Ended up slowing down enough so that Diogo could take the lead. But here comes Scott Davely. Scott seems to have a very good car in this second race. He's already up to 3rd place, running side by side with Frankie. Side by side through the corner, but I think he's got the inside. It's not too easy to run side by side with this particular combination of car and track. And they are now running after Diogo Silva, who has, of course, now become more vulnerable by being in the lead, as there's a bit of lag there for Scott Davely, but he continues to be 2nd, and Frankie is not far behind. So already we see, and Scott Davely is going to go for the lead, but he's not braking in time, and he basically, he's braking. Sorry about this. He's grabbed the lead. There was a little bit of lag, as now Scott Davely is basically the 3rd leader already within the first 6 laps of this race, as we see quite a lot more action than in the previous race. There he is, Scott Davely, with that very beaten up number 34 Ford Mustang. Now he wants to onto the lead. He's got the lead now, so surely he is going to be a contender today. Let's see what the approach is in terms of pit stops, because I think these drivers may have figured out after race 1 that probably is not worth it to stop for new tires with 30 laps. You would need basically a longer race to take advantage of the fresh tires and the adjusted tire pressures. So probably drivers will try not to stop at all, as the top 3 continue to be together, and actually Diogo Almeida has, no, it was Frankie has stopped again. Frankie has stopped again in the pits. I wonder if he had to, or if he just chose to again to stop in pit lane, maybe thinking that others are going to do the same. I'm not entirely sure. After race 1, look at this, he managed to stay in the lead lap, or did he? Sorry, this is no, he's lost a lap basically. He's lost a lap in the pits, and I wonder if this is the optimal strategy, because I'm not certain that the other drivers are going to do a pit stop. As we now see a nice race for the lead here with Scott Ledley in the lead, followed by Diogo Silva. Diogo has already won race 1. Can he win 2 in a row? That would be unprecedented in this league, also because we only had 2 races so far, which were won by different drivers. Look at this, Diogo now on the inside of Scott, but not quite able to make a move there. Not quite able to make a move. Diogo Almeida is an interested spectator here, and we're already in lap 10 basically out of 30, so we're already entering the second third of this race. Let's see how this is going to develop, because Diogo Silva seems to be, I'm not entirely sure he's quicker than Scott. He's certainly not quicker in terms of pace. Scott 31.1 and Diogo 32.7, and someone has spun. That's Frankie. Frankie has spun, and he well, everyone has avoided him, fortunately, but again, another problem for Frankie. It's not his day, definitely, after winning the opening round. It seems to me that he is going to finish fourth for 2 races in a row, and that's a bit of a shame. He continues to be very quick with this car, but the pit stop, I'm not entirely sure it's really worth it, as we now follow second place man Diogo Silva, who is again trying to make a move on Scott Ledley. He's closer than ever, but not quite able to make a move, and I think that's going to change now, because he's going to try to make a move into turn 1. He's going to try to make a move into turn 1, not quite. He got out of it. He didn't try. He prefers to just work together with Scott so that they can build a gap to Diogo Almeida, who's already 5 seconds down the road. So it seems right now, as we approach the midpoint, that the battle for victory is going to be between these 2 drivers, really, as they continue to battle, and Diogo is trying to see if he can make a move on the inside of turn 1. Can he? Can he do it? I don't think he can do it, as we are now entering the second half of this race. Number 34, Scott Ledley, continues to lead, and he has led the most laps today. He has led the most laps after, I think, lap 3 or 4. He has led throughout this race, but he is now under very significant pressure from Diogo Silva, as the other 2 drivers are now separated by longer distance. And of course, this race would be a lot more interesting if we had more drivers. Maybe in future rounds, if we only have 2 human drivers, we need to complement that with the AI drivers. Now Diogo coming on the inside, got out of it. He's trying to see which overtaking spot is perhaps the most adequate, and he will try to make a move then. I think he's just practicing really for later on in the race. Here he comes down on the inside, not quite possible. Scott Ledley is doing a great job there, because he is of course in front. He doesn't have the draft of anyone. Diogo Silva theoretically should go faster with the draft, but the reality is that Scott has a very fast car and chooses exactly the right line there throughout the corner, so that he does not have to defend too aggressively in basically turn 1, although he's now a little bit wide there, but Diogo not quite in a position yet to basically take advantage of this. We had no cautions in the first race. We are running a maximum of 3 cautions in this race, and so far we are already on lap 17, and we haven't had a caution either. And the only 2 cars who could create a caution are these 2, as they continue to be nose to tail, really. There you go. Battle continues, but really Diogo Silva is not making any moves whatsoever. I wonder really, if he's got no pace and he's just trying to keep as close as possible to Scott, trying to force a mistake, the problem is that that strategy is not very effective, because Scott Davey is a driver that very rarely makes mistakes, and Diogo, well, he's running a bit out of time, really, because he's already in lap 18 now. He's trying, will he try to make a move? Yes, he's now trying to make a move, and I think he's got him. He's got him, or did he? Yes, I think he's got him, as yes, Diogo Silva is the new leader. Diogo Silva is the new leader, but Scott Davey is coming back at him. He's coming back at him. Nice battle here at Texas Motor Speedway. It's possible that even with not that many drivers, we can have some really interesting battles on track, as Scott retakes the lead now. Retakes the lead in turn 3, but now Diogo is coming back at him, and they keep yo-yoing between the lead and second place. Now Diogo got the job done again into turn 1, as he will be the leader. Yes, he will. But Scott is now going back at him again. Nice battle between these two, just giving enough space to each other, and really almost like practicing moves for later on in the race, as Scott seems to be the best driver coming out of turn 3, out of the back straight, as Diogo is now trying to go around the outside after coming at Scott from the inside position. He's trying to go around the outside. Will this work? I don't think it will work. No, it won't work. It won't work, because Scott Davey now keeps the lead, and he keeps the lead into turn 3. That is the corner where he's fastest. Now Diogo is going to try